It's Thursday night in the A. You know what that means. Kelly Price and Tori McElhaney is coming at you on Rise Up Tonight, presented by AT&T.
Atlanta, what's going on? Kelly and Tori back in the friendly confines of the Fox 5 studio. I don't foresee any more field trips for us this season, Tori.
All I gotta say is it's so good to be home.
Well, the Falcons came back from the preseason game in Miami with an L, but it is the preseason. 22 Falcons were scratched from that lineup. Expected starters on both sides of the ball not dressing for this one, and it's been a busy week since then, so let's huddle up about it, y'all.
Let's huddle up with Kelly and Tori on the world of Falcons football.
Gotta start with the debut a lot of Falcons fans and really football fans in general were waiting for, to see Michael Penix in an NFL game. Yeah, it was the preseason, but he goes 9 of 16 for 104 yards, no picks, no touchdowns through the air. But more than the stats, you saw a young but mature QB making his progressions, being decisive and quick, and showing off that downfield accuracy we saw at Washington. Raheem Morris even said this week Penix looked operationally better in that game than he even has in practice. So, Tori, what were some of your impressions of those 5 series in Miami, and do you think we get another week of seeing Penix on Saturday?
Yeah, I don't think we've seen the last of MPJ in the preseason. I fully expect to see him in a very similar amount of time in Baltimore. As for what impressed me with Penix, well, it was the ease of which we saw him operate. To your point earlier, Kelly, we spoke to Michael Penix a little bit in the days leading up to that first preseason game, and he spoke a lot about how even though the Atlanta scheme differs slightly from what he was asked to do in Washington, the Falcons scheme fits him and his play style very, very well, even when the first or second read isn't there, which that was something that we saw in action a lot last week. Michael Penix Jr. just taking what the defense would give him. I
like calling him MPJ. I'm going to have to file that one in my mind for later. All right, simply put, the Falcons are real banged up coming from Miami. Rondale Moore and Braylon Trice look to be lost for the year with knee injuries. DeMarco Hellams expected to miss a significant amount of time with his ankle ailment. That's a lot, Tori. So first, how does this kind of affect the receiver depth?
So let's start with the receivers. They recently signed Jakeem Grant. The acquisition makes complete sense when you're comparing Rondale Moore's body type and skill set with Grant's. However, I wouldn't count out Casey Washington in this conversation either. The rookie receiver may be a day 3 pick, but it hasn't been uncommon for the later round picks to shine in the years past, if given the opportunity.
I really like Washington too, yeah, great point. DeMarco Hellams a key part of the equation at safety for the Falcons. He's been battling Richie Grant for the other starting slot going back to last season when Hellams started 4 of their final 6 games. Which guys on the roster right now are poised to make an impression at safety?
Okay, so you have to talk a lot about the guys who are behind DeMarco on the depth chart. So you're talking Micah Abernathy, Lucas Dennis, Dane Cruikshank. But if the Falcons move some money around, I wouldn't be surprised if a move that bulks up this depth is on the horizon.
Ooh, speaking of moves,
here's
the part you guys have been waiting for. Former Patriots outside linebacker Matthew Judon coming to the A for the price of a 2025 third-round draft pick. Let Terry cook. Coming off the tough injury loss of a promising rookie in Braylon Trice, Judon immediately boosts this pass rush, Tori.
Here's the thing. Acquiring a 4-time Pro Bowler is one of the best moves the Falcons have made this year. Judon brings with him 66.5 total sacks, a monster of a number. He's coming off, like you said, a season-ending bicep injury, but I would argue that his best days are still ahead of him the way that he was trending before the injury.
And to your point, Judon is coming off at 2023. He was limited to 4 games, 2 starts due to that injury, in which he had 13 tackles, 4 sacks, 9 quarterback hits, 5 tackles for loss, and a safety. I don't think I need to remind anyone that 6.5 sacks were the most by any Falcon last year. So preseason, pre-schmeezen. The fellas were in mid-season form with their pregame fits in South Florida. We're walking in, presented by Wells Fargo. First, I know Tori and I have a lot of thoughts going on here. Primarily that Casey Washington really channeling his inner Justin Timberlake in his NSYNC days here. He's only missing those frosted tips, ramen noodle hair, but Tori, 2001 chest tattoo? Probably the year Casey was born, which means he might not even understand the homage he's paying. This is going to ruin the tour.
Not the world tour. No, seriously, the very first thing I texted Kelly upon seeing this photo was, he looks like JT, right? Because I can't unsee it.
I will not be able to unsee it. Lululemon bag shout out too. All right, next up, Kyle Pitts. Sir, I was so in love with this look, but then I noticed the Phillies hat. KP, a heart-to-heart from your fellow KP. I know you are from the Philly area, but this is Braves country, my man. That hat distracting from a very nice fit that I much enjoy otherwise.
It's like, okay, we get it, you're from Philly, woo, but like, come on, bro, know your audience, and this is upsetting the audience.
It is very upsetting. All right, sticking with the fun, colorful vibes, Liam McCullough, he got the memo. The Falcons were in Miami, and it's definitely giving like fun dad, and I really dig his rose gold like kind of Jordans going on there too.
No, I love it. We gotta give the long snapper some love.
Yes.
I think the last time that Liam was on the segment, he was actually wearing a Cracker Barrel sweatshirt. So Kelly, this is quite the elevation from Liam.
That is a throwback, and I think you are right. Wow, Cracker Barrel. That was a long time ago. All right. Coming up later in the show, Falcons cheerleader and real estate agent Nicole DeSantis joins us in the nest for a fun chat about her day job and the housing market, and of course, the Atlanta Falcons.
Plus, how the Falcons are continuing to grow girls flag football, this time in Henry County. That story is coming up next on Rise Up Tonight.
Rise Up Tonight is presented by AT&T and brought to you by Georgia Lottery. Today could be the day. By Mercedes-Benz, the best of nothing. And by Home Depot, how doers get more done. Falcons fans, do you ever wonder what's really on your favorite player's mind? It's time for Question of the Week, brought to you by Zaxby's, Famous Fingers and Sauces.
Who would be the worst babysitter on the team?
Oh man, probably myself. Like I'm not good with like babies at all. Like at all, they scare me.
Oh, Tyler Algier.
Yeah, I want to say Tyler Algier. They're so small and I'm big and they just scare me.
As much as I love Tyler, like that is my brother for life, you know. But I might go on the video game and forget that there was even a kid or anything in present.
I've never seen Tyler in a serious manner, almost. I feel like for my kid, I would want someone that's serious, like serious about the job, and you know, he'll definitely keep him entertained. That's for sure.
Carlos Washington.
Why?
He's just got so much energy. Like if I want the baby to sleep, like if you want the kid to sleep, like he would probably keep it up. Just has so much energy.
Oh man.
There's nothing wrong with energy, but
yes. Yeah, I gotta set the tone for the kid. That makes sense. That really turned into like a Tyler Algier slander segment.
I don't know. Maybe because Tyler is just such like a ball of energy in and of himself.
He's a kid.
Yeah, and he's just kind of bounding around. And Jesse's point about being serious and Tyler not necessarily being super serious, like, okay.
I would trust Jesse Bates with my baby, so mental note for all those Falcons. All right, well, Tori made a 53-man roster projection on AtlantaFalcons.com. Be sure to go check that out. But let's talk about some of the guys we're about to get a heavy dose of in these preseason games, right? The bubble players. Who are some Falcons we're going to see over the next couple weeks that have a legitimate shot of surviving that 53-man roster cut down?
Yeah, so it's going to be tough, but some names to keep in mind are outside linebacker D'Angelo Malone, who showcased some serious special teams prowess in Miami, cornerback Anthony Johnson, who has made a very physical presence known that I can't help but take note of time and time again, and also, I'll say this, running back Carlos Washington, who Tyler Algier just spoke about, who I'm just going to be honest, everyone in that locker room loves.
Which apparently babies don't love. The Atlanta Falcons have been one of the most fervent supporters of girls flag football in Georgia and elsewhere. This spring, the team presented Henry County schools with a girls flag football grant as we rise up for Atlanta, brought to you by Truist. The grant was presented by Falcons right guard Chris Lindstrom at Union Grove High School in McDonough. The money will support the launch of the school's first ever flag football program for girls at the middle school level for things like uniforms, equipment, refs, and all the other necessities for every middle school in Henry County. Lindstrom told us why he's excited to be involved with this effort.
I had 3 sisters growing up who all played sports and had passion and loved football, and I know there's, millions of, or hundreds of thousands at least, of women fans of the NFL, and there's so many opportunities in our space now, and that going forward, I'm excited that flag is an opportunity to really include participation.
Chris Lindstrom is another one I think I would trust with my baby.
Definitely.
All right,
Definitely.
One preseason game in the books, and it is time to award the Dirty Bird chain to Week 1's standout player. You like that is still to come.
Meanwhile, Nicole DeSantis is in her homeowner era, and she wants all Gen Zers to join her in that. The Atlanta Falcons cheerleader and real estate agent joins us in the nest next.
Welcome back to Rise Up Tonight. Let's head in the nest with Kelly, Tori, and this week's special guest, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz.
We are so excited to welcome in the nest today Nicole DeSantis. She's a cheerleader for the Atlanta Falcons. She's also a real estate agent and first-time homebuyer with a huge social media presence. First, I need to know, how do you balance those roles? Because those are two very demanding things.
They are very demanding and very different too. They don't relate at all. So how I stay on track to get everything done is, first of all, waking up early. I usually wake up around 5 a.m. And then my broker at Century 21 is all about time blocking your schedule. So my schedule throughout the day is literally blocked out hour by hour. I put my personal stuff in first, so like obviously practicing. The days that we don't have practice, I have to practice before practice, so I put that in there. But that's the only way I can get it done. I try to go to bed as early as I can, but really time blocking it out helps me stay on track for everything to be the best in both areas of my life.
Yeah. Time management is a major key for sure.
Calendar blocking is very important for us too. So we were talking before we started shooting, and you made mention that first-time home buyer recently went through that whole process.
Yes.
I know Kelly has a home. She's redoing it. I've never bought myself a home. I'm still currently renting. So what advice would you give someone like me for first-time home buying tips and tricks?
The very first thing I would do is reach out to a real estate agent. Even if you don't want to buy 2-3 years from now, it's never too early to start the conversation. It's a brand new world for you. You have absolutely no idea what goes into it, which makes it fun. But it's a lot to learn, and it's a very emotional process. So starting that education as soon as you can, learning about it, learning how much money you want to save up, how much you want to put down, the entire process just makes it a little bit less stressful when you actually go through it.
As a member of Gen Z yourself, what do you think that generation of kind of first-time home buyers is looking for in a home? Have you noticed any like trends?
Yes, so this is actually my favorite fun fact about real estate. 19% of recent home buyers are actually single female.
Love that.
Yes, love that, myself being one. And the majority of that group were actually in Generation Z.
Interesting.
So the trends are people are starting to buy younger and younger, being more educated younger and younger, which is great. When they're looking to buy something, Atlanta's so great because there's such a big variety. If you want to start out in the suburbs because that's where you work, there's first-time home buyer options out there. If you want to be in the city and in a condo, way less maintenance. But there are so many different options for first-time home buyers out there, and I've been seeing them try all the different options too. It's not really a cookie cutter type of they want to be in this specific area or this specific type of housing.
That's an interesting point about the Atlanta market, because there are so many options in so many areas, like you said. What's the biggest misconception among that demographic about buying a home? What's something that you wish you could just like shake people like, this is not true or this is true?
Yes, so number one is they think that they can't afford it. But there are so many different options out there to help you buy your first house. And also the biggest education tip that I talk about on my social media is how bad it is to rent. So
it's true. She's talking right at me. Don't
at you. No, but I mean, every month you're renting, that money is going nowhere. It's going to your landlord's mortgage. So you're not building up that wealth, you're not building up that investment. And the main thing that I say is, this isn't your forever house. This first house you're gonna buy, you're not gonna be in it forever. Just get in a house as soon as you can. In 2 years, sell it.
Let's switch topics a little bit and talk about your role, your second job as an Atlanta Falcons cheerleader. What is kind of the origin story of that?
I've been dancing since I was 2 years old. It's been a huge part of my life, my entire life. I grew up, doing recreational dance, then I went into competitive dance, and that's when it really became my life. And then I went to college, like I said, at the University of South Carolina, where I danced on the dance team there. for 4 years, and then I just knew I wasn't done. I needed to keep going, and at this level it is very competitive. There are only a certain amount of spots, so I knew I was going to have to fight for it for sure. I knew a few people from South Carolina that were on the Falcons, so they always interested, I always kept my eye on them. And then also there's a dance convention in Vegas every year called Pro Action, and all of the pro teams go to it, all the college teams. So I went when I was in college and I saw the Falcons there, and I love their style and what they're all about, and it's a great environment.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. What's something you wish that all these fans watching knew about being a cheerleader?
So there is a lot that people don't know about this world. My biggest thing that I feel like people don't really know about it is that we all have full-time jobs. So I know we talked about my job being a real estate agent with Century 21, but I mean, we have nurses, we have engineers, we have marketing like any job industry you can think of, we have someone on the team that does that, and that's their full-time gig. So being a cheerleader is kind of just, my coaches say, the icing on top of the cake. It's not our whole cake.
Right.
So we have so much more going on, and we like to do that. We like to stay busy and have all this going on, and as much as we love cheering and it's the opportunity of a lifetime and every minute of it is amazing, we have a lot more going on.
Now to wrap up, what's kind of been your favorite memory over the last few seasons? We were talking, you're going into your 5th season with the team, so what are some moments that kind of stick out to you over the last few seasons?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I mean, we do so much work in the community, especially our junior cheer clinic. It's so rewarding to help out those little kids. We're with them for a few months too, so that's super rewarding. I mean, you guys know the Dirty Birds Nest energy on game day. It's insane. So that is amazing. But what I'll take from this experience for the rest of my life is all the people that I met that I'm on the team with. I mentioned that I'm from Maryland, so when I moved here, I really didn't know anyone. And automatically, I have 40 friends, 40 brothers and sisters, actually. So just hanging out outside of practice, the camaraderie in practice, in the locker room, just going through it with people that are experiencing the same thing is the best part of it.
That's awesome. Well, congrats on all your success. All the Falcons fans out there, make sure you find Nicole on the sideline, say hey, say what's up. She'll be killing it. Thanks so much for joining us too. We really appreciate the conversation and sharing all that insight. I'm sure so many viewers are going to get so much out of that. But thanks for joining us. You could catch the full conversation with Nicole on fox5atlanta.com, and we'll be right back on Rise Up Tonight.
Hey Atlanta, this is Head Crack talking, and you watching Rise Up Tonight, presented by AT&T.
Bringing you content all day.
Big Kirkle wakes up dripping like this.
Kirk Cousins with the chain. Oh yeah! I love it. I love it. I love it. You want to see me jog? You want to see me jog? Here we go. I'm jogging. You like that? You like that?
Who's it going to be this week? Who's going to get the Dirty Bird chain, Tori? I'm so glad you get to see this in real life today.
I know, I didn't get to see it last week. It's so pretty.
It's so shiny. All right, so this week we agreed this ice belongs to the former Packer. Kevin King hasn't played the last 2 years, getting himself right mentally and physically after missing 29 of a possible 80 games in Green Bay due to injuries. Fast forward to last Friday at Hard Rock Stadium, and King starts for Atlanta, nabs the pick that the Falcons turned into points on an ensuing possession, had a forced fumble, a near second interception later in the game, and he got emotional talking about how much this opportunity means to him after all that he's kind of been through. So he gets the chain this week.
Love it. I was in that post-game presser with King, and there was something that he said that will stick with me for a long time. He said when he finally walked out onto the game field for the first time in 2 years, he said he felt like he was at home again. And for those of us that love the game, perhaps there's a piece of home in it for all of us too.
I also love to see him make that impact, especially, you know, we've had a lot of questions about what this secondary is going to kind of look like, and I think he's someone that could make a big impact even after this.
Here's the thing. You look at Anthony Johnson, you look at Antonio Hamilton Sr., these are all guys that this cornerback, this DB room, things are really, really heating up as the preseason goes on.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for staying up late with us. We'll see you next week. For Tori McElhaney, I'm Kelly Price. Have a great night.